Thanks for staying with us. You're watching The World Now, but we will interrupt our lineup of program as we cross over to Abuja to bring you the live coverage of the flag-off of an access road there in the FCT by the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike. Now, viewers on DSTV will be watching that live coverage. Other viewers will watch the news on YouTube and other platforms. We begin the world now here in Africa, where in less than 24 hours, Ghanaians will be heading to the polls to vote in a new leader to take over from President Nana Akufo-Addo. This comes at a time the nation is battling with economic crisis, shortage in the supply of electricity and unemployment. We'll have more details in this report.
Since Ghana plunged into a deep economic crisis in 2022, the people have been battling with what they call the hardship. International rating agencies have downgraded Ghana's creditworthiness to junk status, and inflation has skyrocketed to 54%, with the government defaulting on its debt repayments. The country's currency, the cedi, has reportedly lost 70% of its value in the past 8 years. These forced Ghana to secure a $3 billion bailout loan from the International Monetary Fund. According to a 2021 census, about 40% of Ghana's population want to quit the country. They can only see few job prospects in a country which has an unemployment rate of 14%. That's why the nation's economy has dominated the election campaign. The two main presidential foreigners in Saturday's election are former President John Mahama and Mahamudu Bawumia. Mr. Bawumia holds a master's degree in economics from the UK prestigious Oxford University, and he has been vice president for 8 years. His campaign, "It is possible," is a reference to his claim that he can win and stimulate economic growth. Former President John Mahama, the flag bearer of the National Democratic Party (NDC), hopes to return to power after an 8-year absence. His campaign has focused on a promise to reset the nation's economy. But his critics do not believe him, pointing out that Ghana plunged into an electricity crisis when he was in office from 2014 to 2017. So they say they do not see how a man who could not keep the lights on can reset the economy. Mr. Mahama has promised to make Ghana a 24-hour economy through the creation of nighttime jobs in both the public and private sectors. In order to ease the cost of living crisis in the country, both candidates have also promised to scrap some taxes, including the much criticized electronic levy on mobile transactions and the levy on carbon emissions produced by petrol or diesel-powered vehicles. Both men seem very desperate to succeed President Nana Akufo-Addo, who will be stepping down at the end of his 2 terms.
Now, for more on this election of high African and international interest, a writing fellow, African Liberty, Irene Ofori-Agema, joins me now from Ghana's capital city, Accra. Good to have you join us.
Hello, good afternoon. Nice to join you this afternoon.
Right, so we understand that Ghana's Electoral Commission is now facing opposition criticism for what they allege to be bias and attempts to restrict media access to collation centers. How are they addressing these issues, and what is the mood like in Ghana?
Okay, so regarding the EC's stance, the communication between the EC and the public has been great so far. The EC has released statements to the Electoral Commission officers and to the general public, assuring them of a transparent elections with integrity. And also where people seem very calm, even though there seems to be some sort of tension in the air. People are very calm.
Right, so let's talk about this idea that voters will be weighing a choice between continuity or change at the ballot tomorrow. But is this really true when you consider that the NPP's Mahamudu Bawumia, who is the vice president, is up against an NDC leader and former president John Mahama? And so do Ghanaians see this vote as a vote for change?
Yes, you can actually say that Ghanaians see this as a vote of change, whether it goes anyway. People are very optimistic that there's going to be change anyway because as of 4th December, the presidential polls that were taken, it says that people are really, the landslide is just towards Mahama coming back as the current president. But then the NPP also is also very optimistic about coming back into power. Either way, Ghanaian citizens are very sure that there's going to be some change, either economic transformation in the country or there's going to be a new president. Either way, they just feel that there's going to be some form of change in the country.
And we understand that 13 candidates are also on the ballot, and that include prominent figures like a former minister and also a well-known businessman, Nana Kwame. Does this election hold any potential to disrupt Ghana's traditional two-party dominance?
It doesn't seem so with the polls and the surveys that we held. So far, it seems the competition is still between the two major political parties in Ghana, which is the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party. Even though the new force, which is the Nana Kwame Bediakon's party, seems to have made some progress, being a first-time presidential candidate, the competition still lies between the MPP and the NDC. And with an expected victory for NDC. Because due to the polls and the surveys that we've gathered, most Ghanaians are looking to vote for the former president, Mahama.
And do you see any of the other candidates outside of the two major candidates, at least polling any sort of votes that seems, a bit significant compared to the other two candidates?
Well, it was the former minister. He seems to have made a bit of progress with the polls besides the other presidential candidates. So far, I think there are 4 people are really looking at to vote for. But then the competition still remains between the two major political parties because their stakes and the votes they've been having, even for the online surveys and votes, are still quite low. It falls within 3% to 7%. But the major political parties get as much as 76% and 30% over within amongst the 4 political parties.
And let's look at the issues, because across every country today, economy seems to be a very big issue. In the US, that just concluded its election, that was the major issue as well. But for Ghana, what are the issues at the heart of this election, and then the issues that are likely to shape voter sentiment?
It still remains the economic challenges that we are currently facing. So for everybody, all the people, Ghanaian citizens are all very serious about the economic challenges we are facing, and we are hoping to have some bit of change. So far, when any person is interviewed from all the news sources, people are really concerned about the economic challenges that the country is currently facing with the dollar rates and other tax impositions and other things. Everything relates to the economic challenges and unemployment rate. And people are very keen on observing some change after tomorrow's election.
And do Ghanaians feel like their votes will count?
Yes, you can say that. According to a survey by Afrobarometer, 82% of Ghanaians believe that their votes will count. And even though some feel like they've lost trust in the institutions, which is the Election Commission and the security agencies, they still believe that their votes will count, and are really counting on the EC to be transparent during these elections.
And what are the expectations for voter turnout?
Yeah, the voter turnouts are quite high because during the special voting, which occurred on 2nd December, the voter turnout so far the least was 83% in all the polling stations, and is expected or projected to reflect in the general elections as well. The special voting went very well. The turnout was very high.
And when you look at the voting bloc, most times is women and youths who usually have the highest number of voting blocks. And we know that Africa right now, the youth population is expanding, and Ghana is not different. How are the youth feeling about this election, and what are the candidates, saying about the level of unemployment and how to address it?
Well, so far, most of their policies have been centered on education and increasing employment opportunities, and also the health sector. But then the youth are very optimistic, and so far, most of their policies, the two political parties, their policies reflect on creating more jobs for the youth, and also things that involve youth participation, such as agriculture, climate change, and other things. So far, they've really involved the youth in their policies, and the youth are very optimistic that when they come into power or when the next government is in power, you're going to see some change directly from them.
And we know that elections around the world has also been very divisive, has taken a very divisive turn and rhetoric. Is that the same for Ghana? How has this election turned out? Is it uniting the people or, creating division?
Ghanaians have remained very calm. So far, the campaigns, the rallies are done at the moment. It's left with the citizens who are doing their own personal campaigning, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be any violence so far, because people are actually independently campaigning for peace during these elections. Individuals themselves are campaigning for peace, even though they all have their various parties in mind and at heart. They are still campaigning. They are campaigning for a peaceful and fair election.
I'm sure that we'll speak to you more often, even as the election kicks off, the voting rather kicks off tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure to have you on. Writing fellow, African Liberty, Irene Ofori Agema.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
We're staying in Africa to just completed election